Welcome to the Morning Edition Extra. I'm Adelmi Ruiz coming to you from the digital desk this Thursday morning. Starting off, a dangerous storm is battering western Alaska, and meteorologist Aaron Morrison joins us now with what's going on. Aaron.
And Adelmi, we've been talking about this coastal flooding that's been ongoing for areas of western and northwest Alaska over the last 24 plus hours. And those coastal flood warnings will remain in effect through the remainder of today and into Friday. We'll see some of the greatest flooding potential continue for areas of northwest Alaska, although those water levels will begin to recede throughout the day as that storm system exits off towards the northeast. With that being said, we will see a lull in the activity to start off the weekend, but more rain, winds, and rough seas arrive this weekend and into next week. There's our area of low pressure. It's going to skirt along the Arctic coastline throughout the remainder of today. And as it continues to move away from northwest Alaska, we will see those winds quickly diminish throughout the evening hours. Of course, today will still favor some winds up to about 40 to 50 miles per hour. And we're still seeing some of those stronger winds out towards Kotzebue Sound, areas of northwest Alaska, really for locations north of the Seward Peninsula. This is where we continue to see those windy conditions that have been with us. And you can see several areas still up under those coastal flood warnings, coastal flood advisories. We do have some locations of the Central Brooks Range up under a winter weather advisory with wind advisories continuing for portions of the interior. But of course, the greatest impacts will continue to be out towards areas of western Alaska. As these waves are breaking the shoreline, it's pushing those rocks, breaking those roads, leading to some coastal erosion, as well as that flooding that we have been seeing. This is a photo courtesy of Cynthia Carmen's that we have been seeing, as well as out towards Kotzebue. This photo coming in from Jess Sands, showing the remnants of that flooding potential that we did see out towards Kotzebue, where we did see that mandatory evacuation yesterday, where water levels did creep up just over 6.70 inches when it comes to, or 6.70 feet, I should say, when it comes to the amount of water levels that we did see rise out towards Kotzebue Sound. Now, good news this morning, although it still is in major flood stage, it continues to quickly recede. So we should see those water levels drop back below minor flooding later today. But due to those ongoing winds, we could still see some localized areas where flooding will continue throughout the remainder of today. Some of the strongest winds shifting out towards the slope, where we've got winds from Utqiagvik out towards Dead Horse, gusting anywhere from 50 to 60 miles per hour. And again, will favor some of those stronger winds today across the northwest Arctic borough and out towards the slope. Here's a remainder, or remnants of a low pressure system moving out the Kamchatka Peninsula. That will slowly build into the western Aleutians. As it does, we'll keep with some rain throughout today and into our Friday. And one thing we're watching is the remnants of a typhoon. This will shift in from the south. This will help reinforce and re-strengthen that area of low pressure as it builds into the Bering Sea. So by Saturday morning, very heavy rain as well as some strong winds look likely for the Aleutians. That will eventually build north into areas of southwest Alaska as we welcome in the weekend. So those winds today, those taper off. We'll see a brief lull in the activity out towards western and southwest Alaska. Winds will begin to pick up Saturday, although nothing significant. It's really Saturday evening on into Sunday where those winds will increase across the Aleutians and then build north across the Pribilofs, Gamble, St. Lawrence, Bering Strait, and areas of western Alaska. So be prepared for another round of rain, winds, and potentially rough seas across western Alaska as we welcome in the weekend. We're going to continue to hold on to this wetter weather pattern across a good portion of the state. We'll even tap into that rainfall potential here across South Central as we welcome in the weekend and next week. Along with that, we'll see those temperatures steadily dropping and back into the mid-40s by Saturday, with the potential that we could see a light freeze across portions of South Central. Adelmi?
Thank you so much, Aaron. That powerful Bering Sea storm is delivering high winds to western Alaska. High wind gusts between 50 and 80 miles per hour recorded from the Aleutians to western Alaska on Tuesday and Wednesday. These strong winds are causing a storm surge of 4 to 10 feet for many communities. Flooding is ongoing and will likely continue into Thursday. Images and videos flooding in from western Alaska Wednesday night showing entire towns submerged in the rising tides. Kotzebue was among the first to evacuate as the storm battered the coast, but officials say all the communities in the northwest Arctic borough are at risk. Roughly 280 of Kivalina's residents evacuated to the new school, likely to spend the night.
The wind is not consistent. It's changing, it's shifting, it's picking up speed, it's that kind of thing. Is same with the surf. When you stand there and watch it, there will be swells coming in with all of the wave action. And then when we hit about 12 noon today, between 12 noon and 1, that's when things started really getting serious. And people were scared. So your first priority is always the safety of the people.
As of 10:45 p.m., the tidal gauge at Kotzebue Sound in Kotzebue reached 6.32 feet. Water levels dropped slightly to 6.32 feet at 8 p.m. and remained at that level at 9 p.m., which is still in major flood stage. The highest level was at 7 p.m. at 6.71 feet. That is an increase of more than 6 feet since Tuesday afternoon. The water is expected to stay high throughout the night. Many streets in Kotzebue are flooded as water from the storm surge inundates the community. And in Fairbanks, the race for mayor appears decided. Incumbent David Pruz has conceded to challenger Mindy O'Neill, but up to 1,450 ballots, absentee and question ballots remain to be counted. O'Neill leads by 280 votes. The city clerk says the concession won't affect the final tally if the numbers shift after certification. Alaska's News Source caught up with both candidates on election night.
I'm so pleased that the message that we ran with resonated with the residents of Fairbanks, and that there was a vision painted collectively that Fairbanks can be a vibrant place to be.
This has been a humbling, most rewarding experience being mayor of City of Fairbanks for 3 years. There's no better job in the elected world than being the mayor of the City of Fairbanks, and I wish Mindy the best.
After being reviewed by the borough's canvass board, all absentee and questionable ballots will be counted next Tuesday. Results are set to be certified October 23rd. The sixth vote to end the government shutdown failed to pass the Senate. The Senate rejected the Democrats' alternative short-term government spending bill along party lines 47 to 52, with all Democrats voting for the measure and all Republicans voting against it. The measure needed 60 votes to advance. The Senate also rejected a House-passed short-term spending bill. That bill would reopen the government through November 21st at its current funding levels. At least 6 air traffic control facilities are working with reduced staff on Wednesday. That's according to a Federal Aviation Administration operations plan. This as the government shutdown is in its 8th day. Officials said the Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport Control Tower will not have normal staffing levels from 5 p.m. until 10 p.m. local time. The FAA says delays are probable for flights headed to that airport. There are also controller shortages reported at the tower in Denver and facilities handling flights for the Newark, New Jersey, and Orlando airports. Parts of air traffic control centers based in New Mexico and California are also operating short-staffed. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said Wednesday night he recognizes the economic realities for workers during the shutdown. But he added that controllers need to go to their jobs to control the U.S. airspace. Duffy said through September of this year, only 5% of flight delays were caused by staffing shortages. He said Wednesday more than half of delays were due to not enough controllers on duty.
We're all stupid when we're 15 years old, all of us. But we didn't kill people.
Ralph Samuel's brother was murdered by a teenager in 1989. The former Alaska lawmaker and some victim families now worry a 2023 court ruling could reduce sentences for that killer and dozens of others who committed crimes as juveniles. Legal advocates counter that ruling addresses a constitutional requirement. It's a requirement that courts must consider the fundamental differences between juvenile and adult offenders when determining sentences. Our investigative team took a look at both sides of the issue and the potential impact. You can find that story and more on our streaming platforms and on our website. Celebrations in Tel Aviv this morning. Israel and Hamas are one major step closer to ending their 2-year-long war. Yesterday, the two parties and the U.S. announced a Phase 1 ceasefire deal that calls for the release of all remaining Israeli hostages. On social media, President Trump referred to the agreement's terms as the first steps toward a strong, durable, and everlasting peace. Later in a TV interview, the president said the hostages will probably be released on Monday. The White House says the Phase 1 deal calls for Israel to withdraw its forces behind an agreed-upon line within 24 hours. Once that happens, Hamas will have 72 hours to release the remaining hostages, including the bodies of the dead. Israel believes 20 of the remaining 48 hostages are still alive. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is convening his government today to approve the deal, calling it a national and moral victory for Israel. Meanwhile, Hamas says the deal will also lead to the exchange of Palestinian prisoners and the entry of more aid into Gaza. And if you can't find your favorite foods, immigration policy may be to blame. The Labor Department says restricting new migrant and deporting current ones has led to labor shortage. It goes on to say that shortage has increased the risk of supply shock-induced food shortages. The Secretary of Agriculture previously suggested that 34 million Americans on Medicaid could fill any of the jobs left vacant by immigrants. The Labor Department disagrees, saying it doesn't think unemployed or underemployed Americans want the jobs. The agency's comments were part of a document discussing an interim rule that lowers the wages of temporary agricultural workers here in the U.S. under an H-2A visa program. It was filed in the Federal Register last week. The Anchorage Assembly is weighing new rules that could change how short-term rentals like Airbnbs operate in the city. Assemblymember Daniel Volland introduced an ordinance that would require property owners to register their rentals with the city. He's also backing a separate proposal asking voters to approve a 5% tax on short-term rentals, money that would go toward creating more affordable housing.
Those revenues would then be dedicated to a municipal housing fund, which we could do all kinds of creative things to help with housing development here in Anchorage, particularly workforce housing development.
I just don't find making the guests pay more is going to help us with tourism, right? On top of the fact that, with this additional bed tax, I understand the part of it, which is to try to go to affordable housing. There's just not really a plan set up on what that looks like, and there's not really any data that's collected to say, hey, this is going to benefit.
The Assembly plans to vote on whether to put the tax question on the ballot on October 21st. The same day, they'll take public testimony on whether Airbnbs should be registered with the city. Former FBI Director James Comey pleaded not guilty to federal charges Wednesday morning. Comey was arraigned on charges of making a false statement to Congress and obstruction of a congressional proceeding. At today's arraignment, he pleaded not guilty, waived the reading of the indictment, and requested a jury trial. That trial is now set for January 5th, 2026. The charges were brought against Comey after a public campaign by President Donald Trump to prosecute him. The Trump administration accuses Comey of lying to Congress about having authorized a third party to speak anonymously to the media about an FBI investigation. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but there are many types of breast cancer, with certain types on the rise. An American Cancer Society report shows lobular breast cancer is on the rise, while breast cancer has been increasing 1% for all types. It's closer to 3% for lobular. Dr. Arif Kamal says lobular breast cancer is often diagnosed at more advanced stages because it can be harder to detect on a mammogram. The cancer cells grow in line rather than in a lump. More research is needed on why these cancers are increasing.
It's really important that women not only get mammograms every year so that if it is missed, that we'll find it in the subsequent years, but also to pay attention to their body.
And you might be feeling it, subscription fatigue. Those small monthly charges that pile up can take a big bite out of your pocket. In this Watching Your Wallet, consumer investigator Rachel DePompa shares strategies to cut costs and fight back against the fatigue.
MarketWatch Guide's new survey found 1 in 3 Americans are now canceling subscriptions to save money. So we're officially in the era of subscription fatigue. Lori Sepulveda, a senior research writer for MarketWatch Guides, says a lot of times people sign up for a free trial and forget to cancel.
And because it's a relatively small monthly cost, then they don't really notice that monthly charge each month. And that happens over a lot of different platforms. And then if you use a subscription canceling service, you find out that, oh my goodness, I am now being charged, $200 a month for all of these subscriptions.
MarketWatch Guides did find 60% of people now say that they cancel one subscription before starting another. There are services that can also help you with this too.
People who need help figuring out how many subscriptions they have should definitely use a subscription tracking app like Rocket Money. Almost 1 in 5 people don't know how many services they're paying for. And subscription trackers are great because they can identify your subscriptions for you and even sometimes cancel them right from the app.
She says most of these services are free. One more pro tip, if you do sign up for a free trial, go ahead and cancel the subscription immediately. That way, you'll still be able to use the free trial, but you won't be charged automatically after it ends. With this Watching Your Wallet, I'm Rachel DePompa.